the gospel talks about the rich man and Lazarus. The rich man dressed in fine purple clothes and linens, and Lazarus was a poor guy. The rich man ate his fill, the best meats, and Lazarus would eat the leftovers. But he would have to compete with the dogs to get his fill. The rich man made a choice to follow the money, and Lazarus made the choice to be one of God's people. So when the rich man died, he was buried. But when Lazarus died, he was carried away by the angels. Carried away by the angels to heaven. And that's why the rich man sees Lazarus with Abraham, and he says to Saint Lazarus just to tip his finger on his tongue with some water, because he was suffering torment. He was in another world, and from there he could see Lazarus in heaven with Abraham, and he wanted him to go and quench his thirst. And see, the rich man made the choice, love of money. He chose money as his God. And that's what Amos is trying to tell the people in Israel, that to not be complacent and eating all the fine foods, the perfumes, and living a life of luxury, and having no regard for the poor, those that had the need. He says, you will be the first ones to be exiled. You'll be the first ones to be captive, because you neglected the poor. You neglected the needs of the poor. And see, here in the United States, we have like 328 million people that live in poverty. Austin has a population of what, 1 million maybe? So there's like what, 328 cities the size of Austin that suffer from poverty. And what the gospel is trying to tell us, that, we have to realize the needs of those that are in need. Because I'm sure that there's plenty of food that is thrown away or wasted. You know that the restaurants, they have to throw away all their food. They can't give it away. It's a requirement from the health department. This lady that I know worked at Lamb's, not to pick on Lamb's, but they had all that. They have all that leftover product, and she said I was willing to buy it for half price or whatever, and they said no, they would throw it away. And see, all the restaurants throw away all their leftover food. And instead of, realizing that there's the need, all these homeless, they don't have any food to eat. And that's what Amos was trying to tell the people, that you have to have compassion for those that are in need. And if not, you're going to suffer. Woe to you. That's what he says. Woe to you. And that's what happened to the rich man. Woe to him, he wound up in another world. And he suffered the torment, while Lazarus was carried off to heaven, and he was at the side of Abraham. In the second reading, St. Paul tells Timothy to fulfill his commitment of baptism. To fulfill his commitment of baptism and be faithful to God. To be patient, to be forgiving, to love. All those qualities that will earn him a place in heaven. And it's the same lesson about the rich man and Lazarus. That if we're complacent, we will suffer. But if we're compassionate with those that are in need, the Lord will bless us. Will take us home to be with Him. And isn't that our journey? We want to be. That's where we want to be. And I hear people say, hey, I don't want to go to, if there's a hell, I don't want to go. If it's that hot during the summertime here, he says, I sure don't want to go to the netherworld. So I think it's not only our responsibility, but our duty to help the needy, help the poor. And here at Holy Family, we do have we do help the food banks. We help the Baptist Food Bank on East 2nd. We help elder care. And we do it as a community because we know that there is a need for the poor. And I think that's what the gospel is trying to tell us. Don't have a love for money, but have a love for God and God's people. And for those that are in need, we should open our hearts and our homes for their needs, right? Let us see how we can extend that lending hand to those that are in need in our community and in our surroundings, because there's some of our neighbors are in need, and we have to recognize those and not turn our face on them for their need.